Welcome to the April board meeting of trustees. We are going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. This is our first monthly meeting after the election, so we are going to start things off with the swearing in of all of you. Pretty much all of us, yes.
Not me, I get to watch.
Yes, it's a wash.
Raise your right hand. Say aye.
I,
State your name.
Carmen Vogel,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of mayor
the duties of the office of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. All right. All right, we will call up now Trustee Gary Snyder. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Alex Terry Snyder,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of trustee
of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wave, no handshakes.
Welcome back.
All right, and Trustee Halleck. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Stephen Halleck,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of trustee
of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, this time I will call up our newly elected judge, Carl Flint.
Introduce them to our viewers.
Yes. So for all those at home, Carl Flint, he ran this past election cycle to replace Scott Lucy as our justice, and he won that election, and we're all very thrilled to be working with you. So we will go ahead and get you ready to roll. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Carl Flynn,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of judge for
Of-
the Village of
of
Cambridge
Judge for the Village of Cambridge
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Would also like to say a big thank you to Judge Scott Lucy for the last 2 years serving as our justice. He's done a phenomenal job, and I know he's done a phenomenal job working with Justice Flint to get him prepared to take on that role. And so, Scott, we give you all the thanks for being with us, and the different roles that you've served over the years for the Village of Cambridge is very impressive and leads to your standard of community service to us. So thank you very much. All right. At this time, we will open the public hearing on the tentative 2021-2022 budget.
And actually, that should be a motion. So,
Yes, it is.
I'll make the motion to open.
okay, so we have a motion from,
I'll second.
okay,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that will be open. Typical time frame is to have it at least open for 1 hour, which we end up going longer just in case anyone comes in and handle it at the end of the meeting. And then open the public hearing on LL1 of 2021, which if you flip to your, let's see, how far back is it?
it's the last page in the tentative budget. You'll see a copy of it. You'll see it right after the salary schedule in the budget.
There's a lot of paperwork tonight.
The bottom line is, it's a local law
To
to
see
override the
the
tax
tax
levy.
cap.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. So that's local law 1 of the year for 2021. And this gives us the authority to be able to exceed our tax levy, the tax cap that's put in place, which this year's budget will exceed that.
Okay, so to open that hearing, we have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, so that is open as well. We do have time for public comment, which really good posted the meeting open for public to come in person this
We
for
said
us,
that,
yeah.
we said
Or
that,
submit any questions and comments to the clerk.
correct, and I received none in the mail.
So maybe we'll get on with the rest of our meeting, maybe someone will trickle in, maybe there's someone that wanted to come and be here, and they're just running a little late, so we will go ahead and if anyone comes in, department heads, if you just would step out into the office, so that way we have room for anyone that may come, that would be helpful. It's a little tight in here. So this is also our organizational meeting for the year. So we have a whole list of appointments that need to be approved, so I will go through them. Deputy Mayor Stephen Robertson, auditors, no change from last year's audit list. Assessor William McCarty, Clerk Deputy Treasurer Lance Allen Wang, Treasurer Deputy Clerk Lester Losaw, Tax Collector Lance Allen Wang, Registrar of Vital Statistics Lance Allen Wang, Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics Lisa Austin Cudahy, Fire Police Gerald Aiken, Timothy Jensen, and David Webster, Associate Justice Richard Malia, Court Clerk Lisa Austin Cudahy, Historian Marianne McAvoy, Librarian Christina Becker, Public Safety Officer Robert Danko, Superintendent of Public Works Paul Tolman, Youth Director Lindsay Shaner, and Zoning Enforcement Officer William Reagan. Planning Board Chair Richard Sweeney, Zoning Board of Appeals Chair John Shower, and Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals Clerk Danny Robertson. And that is the list for our standard appointments. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second since Steve won't be able to.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Any discussion?
No, nothing really. Question, what do the fire police do?
Fire police. So if somebody had an accident like what us or anybody else in the county, they could request fire police for traffic. If they had a major issue where they had to shut down many roads, they would go, fire police, they get an extra through the Fire Police Association, I believe it is, they get some extra insurance. If something was happening, these folks have actually been trained, through a class on traffic and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yep, that's all I have. Just curious.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh,
Abstain, okay. Yeah. All right, next item is number 5, the publications. We have to approve a paper to publish our public notices. So the motion reads, approve the Eagle as the official newspaper for publishing public notices.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Okay, we have S.
Were we gonna look at other options? I thought.
Well, I would like, we can do discussion, but we need a second typically before we do discussion.
Okay, I'll second.
Yes, discussion, go ahead.
So I saw trustee Halleck's email about looking into other options, and I was wondering if we had that information.
Here's, I guess, the bottom line is we have no ability to compete on price. The prices are set. Those are set by law for public notice.
Mhm.
So the really only determinant we can look at would be what has the largest circulation in the area.
Mhm.
What is gonna mean that our notice is gonna get seen by the most people.
Mhm.
Generally, we use the Eagle because it has the highest circulation in our village.
Mhm.
There are other options, but my humble opinion would be unless we can prove, unless we can say that this other option, more people will see what we're putting out. It's kind of
Because I
tough.
think we looked and discussed this in 2017.
Yeah, circulation is really the primary
And
determinant.
we thought about, or it was brought up talking about the Salem Greenwich newspapers.
Right, Journal
They all,
Press.
Journal Press, but they're a bi-weekly publication, so that was out for
Yeah.
them. And that's why the town of Greenwich doesn't use them as well because of that. So they use the Eagle as well, because that's the highly circulated newspaper in our area.
But if there are options that would give us the ability to put more out to more people, I would say certainly bring them in. I just haven't seen them in my time here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Any other discussion? No? All right, we've got our first and seconds, and
Yeah, we just need a vote. We had a
all
first.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, board meetings, we also set the regularly scheduled monthly board meetings will be held on the first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m.
I'll make the motion.
Steve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next is for setting the date for our next organizational meeting, which will be held on April 6th of 2022.
Lord willing.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Katie, yes.
I'll second.
Steve.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Next is to re-adopt our policies. So we have our smoking policy, policy against discrimination and harassment, internet use policy, workplace violence policy, rules of ethical conduct policy, equal employment opportunity policy, and American with Disabilities Act. So the motion would read, the current smoking, discrimination, harassment, internet use, workplace violence, ethical conduct, EEO, ADA remain in effect until superseded.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next would be our disclosure and waiver section. We have to do those every year. So this one would be for myself first, since my husband is a member of the fire department. So it would read, approve the waiver of the section 14 of the Village of Cambridge ethics policy for the following section of disclosures. BOGO.
I'll make the motion. Wait, is that how that works? Do we
Yep.
make the motion? Okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Vogel
And I'll
abstains.
abstain, yes. The next one is to approve the waiver of section 14 of the Village of Cambridge ethics policy for the following section 14 disclosures for Robertson.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Steve
And
abstains.
Steve abstain. Right, the next would be the advance approval of claims. The motion reads, the Board of Trustees authorizes payment in advance of audit of claims for public utility services, postage, freight, and express charges. All such claims must be presented at the next regular meeting for the audit. The claimant and the officer incurring or approving the claims are jointly and severely liable for any amount the Board of Trustees disallows. This is for all our pre-approved bills that go out prior to our meetings.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next would be mileage reimbursement. The motion reads, the Board of Trustees will approve reimbursement to village officers and employees who use their personal automobiles while performing their official village duties at a rate of 55 cents per mile.
And that's based on 2021 federal mileage rates.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next up would be for schools and conferences. The motion reads, the clerk and treasurer are authorized to attend the NICOM Fall Training School. ZEO, Planning Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals members are authorized to attend the Saratoga County Planning and Zoning Conference.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So we authorize it, do you guys actually go to the trainings?
Last year, we did not, because I think some of it was just held by distance.
Yep.
You know, and generally, we base it upon the workload here. If there's heavy workload going on here, we tend not to go because it's not always updated training, it's more refresher training. So
I know some of our ZEO and planning board folks.
they do the Saratoga.
Yeah, when we get
definitely.
new planning board members, we encourage them to definitely go to it, so that way they can.
What's nice is county has been providing some training via the Zoom and stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
Do you and they have to pay out of pocket to go to these trainings, or do we reimburse?
No, we do it by voucher, we handle it here, so.
Gotcha.
Do we have a motion?
We've already done it.
No, it's already done?
Yep,
Ready to
Steve,
vote.
Second, ready to
motion,
vote? All right.
Alex second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next is the official depository. The motion reads, Glens Falls National Bank is the official depository of all monies received by the village treasurer, clerk, and receiver of taxes for the village of Cambridge.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Do we have other options in terms of?
We can look at other banking institutions. We can't look in our own area. The other option would be TCT Federal Credit Union, but until the state legislature votes to allow credit unions to be, they can't be. We have to go with typical banks.
Okay.
So it just makes it a little easier for staff to deposit money when it's
Yeah.
right here in
Just
town.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next would be our fee schedule. That would be to approve the 2021-22 village fee schedule with no change from last year. That's the basic rate that people pay for birth certificates, zoning applications, etc.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Oh, can I
question,
just
yes.
ask about it? When was the last time we increased village fees?
With chicken permit time, when chickens were the big thing.
Oh, that was,
That's probably about
2014, fall of 2014.
I think last time we raised anything on it was about 3 years ago, but also, things like birth certificates and all that stuff, that's set by law.
Okay,
Right, so we don't get to
So
affect those, yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now to our standard monthly meeting. So we have, the first motion up is to approve the March 3rd, 2021 board meeting minutes as written. Those are in your pack.
Yeah, those have all gone out at a time for correction, so we got 3 in there.
Okay, I'm trying to get to it so I can get out of the way. All right, do we have the motion to approve the March 3rd, 2021 board meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Also, in there is a motion to approve the March 18th special board meeting minutes as written.
Can we
Do we want to
Yes,
go?
Let's do a vote real
Oh,
quick.
I'm sorry, yeah, we vote on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, guys. That special board meeting we had on the 18th was just the one to grant permission to the Cambridge Valley Community Development Preservation Partnership to survey the fire department property for that. So it was a really relatively quick meeting.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we also had a special board meeting on the 30th of March, which was to adopt our police reform plan and adopt our communicable disease protocols for our emergency plan. We had to do that before April 1st for the state, which I'm glad we did, because someone just mentioned to me prior to the meeting that the 20 departments that did not do it submitted, the governor has asked the AG's office to go after them. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad that we were able to meet that deadline.
Yeah, the enacted budget, they put a revised law in there that said if you didn't turn it in, they'll withhold all state and federal money. And now with all of this federal money coming in, that's a really big deal
Wow,
to a lot
yeah.
of municipalities, so,
That's
yeah.
their point of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily sure what authority he has to hold federal money, but you know,
Sure.
at least we won't be caught up in that fray of trying to
Absolutely.
figure that all out. So
Absolutely.
big thank you to the Police Reform Committee for all your hard work to help us meet that deadline. It was not easy, and it actually would have been great to have it drawn out another 2-3 months, because there was just so much on this topic to discuss. It is hard to narrow it down to just a few months even. So the working group will continue on after to work on some of the items that were listed in there. And, you know, we hope that sparks and generates other fabulous ideas that come out of it. So like I said, when we adopted it, it's not the end. I believe it's the beginning. It's the starting point for us to start implementing, you know, some things we want to see and interactions we want to see with our officers. And that was, it was a really rewarding process.
So did we have a motion and second for the
Not
30th
yet.
of March?
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thanks also to you and to Trustee Walsh for getting that through.
You're very welcome.
Here, here.
You're very welcome. All right, do we have everybody, good discussion, good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I promise, April does not have that many special meetings planned. It'll be a little later. Treasurer's report, so you will see the vouchers are in there. We have March's unpaid vouchers totaling $103,859.86. The bulk of that you will see on page, let me get it here. Page 5 is from the Capital Projects Fund in regards to the Firehouse. So those are all the fees. Moving forward with the Firehouse, total $66,868. And then the pay vouchers for the pre-authorized bills is $3,399.39. Beyond the Firehouse ones, I don't think there was any items. No, Les didn't leave any notes for anything that would
No,
have
there
been
was no, the only thing is,
different.
for those who see a pen and ink change on theirs, it's just because of that last minute one when Mr. Campanella was in here from CT Man.
And then you'll notice there's a lot of main care. So I know when we had our budget meetings, our budget workshops, we discussed on some of the action lines where it showed that we didn't use a lot of fuel heat, which when we were doing those, we knew that number wasn't accurate year to date because they mass send us bills typically, and that's what they did here. You'll see a bunch of those from them.
What page is that on?
That's page 2, the main care energy. They sent the whole
Yep.
whole mess of them. I don't know why they did it to me. It makes sense to do, you know, monthly billing and get it here each time, but that's the way they work, so.
So these are multiple months and these.
Yeah, they're all, I mean, if you notice, they go from 3/10 to 4/5, but that's just the date they put on them. Those all from 3/10, et cetera, are from previous times.
Okay.
And they don't go by necessarily their delivery date, they go by their weird billing date that they have on it. Because some months, there's not even like 1 or 2 in the voucher list at all. And then,
Yeah, there's at least one bill in there from September 2020.
you're
that we
right,
just
yeah.
got, So
Sure.
it's one of those things where if they're in no hurry, we're in no hurry, but we'd like to keep moving.
But they do know, we have told them that, look, you know, we really want all the bills by the end of our fiscal year, which ends June 1. So we typically, in the springtime, we will see them be more thorough in getting them to us because explain to them, we're wrapping up our year and we need to have those bills sent to us before then.
How often do we do the hydrant flush?
How often do they do that?
Usually, once in spring, once in fall.
Okay,
And they're gonna be doing it, I do believe, the 20th.
okay, so we have a bill here for March that they did it.
They might have done it because they didn't do it last fall.
Okay,
I know, Mark, I did do it. but-
okay,
Yeah, it was over on Pleasant Street, right?
Yeah, they done it over there, yeah.
yeah, they were out and about doing them. Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so we got vouchers, SH.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Les also has in there the operating statement. And as always, you can reach out to him by email or phone call as well if there's any questions. He's got the treasurer's report for February in there and balance sheets as well.
So the general fund balance is pretty, is looking pretty nice, so around $450,000. When we were doing the budget, we thought there was about 300. Do we know what other large cost is going to hit? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a better question for Les, because
Les,
he's
yeah.
pretty
Okay.
accurate with what April and May's bills
Gotcha.
are.
Okay,
If you do look at the operating statement, so this is the page 3 of the operating statement. The top of it shows us where we are year to date after these bills that are in there. So we just hit over $1 million in expenses. We're at $1,069,601. And our budget was $1,383,327. So we have $313,000 left to spend this year. I doubt we're gonna spend that, but I also have ideas possibly of a situation we may be in where we may need to spend some of that money prior to June 1, which I'll discuss further on in the meeting. Which usually that's where you get your fund balance from, any monies that we don't spend, plus what his actual treasurer's report, which tracks the actual cash on hand, as well. But yes, we should end up under budget for this year.
Mayor's report.
All right. There. So yes, March was busy, went really fast. We do need to do a resolution today to officially put the Firehouse project to bid. Which the motion, did you do up a motion based on the one I forwarded you from? There was no specific language that CT Mail needed. I didn't know if
Okay.
Cara, if you had any specific language that we need for opening the bid timeframe?
I'm not sure I understand the question. A specific time frame?
But is there any specific wording we need in the resolution to put the project to bid?
No,
Based on-
no, you're gonna put, okay, no, you're just gonna put, authorize that the bid be released, in accordance with the specifications that they have, because they have all the time frames set out specifically in their bid specifications.
Okay, so did you get that, Lance?
Okay, so authorized release of bidding documents for Firehouse project, is that basically what we're saying?
Yeah, I would say in accordance with the specifications as included in the bid package.
All right, well, that could work with that. Okay, so here's our motion, if someone would make it. Authorized release of bidding documents in accordance with specifications as included in bid package.
Should we include the pending legal review by village attorney or?
I think we just got
She
it.
actually already
I've already
reviewed
reviewed
it.
the documents.
Okay, that's great. I'm happy to make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
And Steve Hallett, okay.
Any further discussion?
I'm just looking at the invitation to bid document. What is a pre-bid conference all about?
That is the meeting that they're gonna be having. CT Mail will have that open up to the contractors. And they would all come together in an actual meeting. They're actually gonna be holding it at the youth center because they didn't feel that this room was big enough for the amount of contractors who possibly could come in.
Yep.
So that's, but apart from that, I don't know much because that's not my world, but it's where the architect and Steve Bishop, our rep, would be at it and contractors would come in. I apparently look at documents, et cetera. After getting their CD, it's just like a.
Questions and answers where everyone's
Getting an
privy
idea
to the same
before they want to
information.
put their bid numbers into the
Yep.
village.
Gotcha. And just so everyone's aware, it says Monday, April 19th, 2018 at 10 a.m., 3 years ago.
Oh, where is that on that? Oh, yes.
Oh,
well,
great, so the firehouse is already up then.
Okay, so you need to, yes, get with CT Mail, because this is actually what you have to post in the newspaper and put on our Facebook page, the invitation to bid,
What page is
So,
that on there, Steve?
the
On
second.
the
Second
second,
page.
how they get every other date right?
Yeah, right, very strange. That one's wrong. It's even bold and
Good
underlined.
catch, Steve.
That's why we keep them around.
It's been open, we've had this open for a long time.
Feels like it.
It does, though. So, yeah, CT Mail will have to send you a corrected version before, putting out the invitation to bid.
Got it.
All right, so did we have our motion and second for that?
We did. Let's see, it was Alex and Steve Halleck and everyone already
All
voted. I
right,
believe.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next one up would be the addendum to the original proposal. So our original proposal with CT Mail only includes rough ideas for the permits. Now we have specific numbers. This is basically the same thing that we did, I believe, at February's meeting for the swap permits. Now that CT Mail has actual numbers for doing that, they have to resubmit that to us, and that's the document you have in front. We would do it the same way, approve pending attorney's review as well, because Cara will look these over before we do that. So this is for the next set of lovely permits that have to start being pulled on this. So the motion reads, authorize mayor to sign contract with CT Mail for special inspection services for the planned fire station per proposal dated 3/31/2021, pending legal review by village attorney. This cost was already part of the original budget. It's just now we get the firm number and not just the estimates anymore. So we know that this is what it will cost us for those special inspections.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next item, so I received an email from Sarah Ashton from Community Partnership. They are moving forward with some of the work on the Victorian footbridge with the grants that they had gotten. And she sent over paperwork, which Cara, I forwarded it to you for you to look over that contract. So the motion would read pending legal review. So once Cara gives the go-ahead for that, basically, it's a four-way contract. So it'd be Homefront Development Corp., which is the one who did the grants for the funding, Cambridge Valley Development and Preservation Partnership. And then because we actually own the footbridge, we need to be a party to it as well, even though we're not incurring the cost. So she sent over, and that's to meet the requirements of the New York Main Street Grant Program that they got the grant through.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
So this is just the bridge itself,
This
not-
is just the bridge itself, yeah. Yeah,
It's not placing it back on the.
they're not to the point of placing it until the waterway is addressed, and that's another piece. This is just, they need this done so that way they can actually get the funds from the New York grant that they got
Mhm.
and expend them on the repairs for the footbridge, which they hired, they put it out to bid, I believe last month or the month before, and have hired someone to do the work and restoration work, so they're replacing some of the cedar shakes that, on the roof that need to be repaired, and any of the structural work on the bridge, which is, it's still in a really great condition considering its age. But they're gonna be doing that with the goal of getting it on the waterway. I know many people have inquired over the last few years that it seems like such a long time. Yes, it has been such a long time since that little bridge was on the waterway. But it takes time. The property that the waterway is on is privately owned. So, the reason we got involved was to get the bridge off the water before it fell in and was destroyed and preserve the bridge itself. And so hopefully now that we've done that, I know the owners are working toward improving that waterway and getting it up to specs according to the Army Corps of Engineers. So that way we can then put that bridge back on that waterway.
Does the private property owner also own the waterway?
No one owns waterways.
No one owns waterway.
No, but you own the bank touching it.
Touching it, okay, gotcha.
But then there's
gotcha,
rules for, even though you own the bank touching it, there's only certain things you can do on the bank that's touching it.
Gotcha, okay,
So it's like a lot of layers
yeah, sure.
to it. I mean, it took me 7 months just to get permission from the entities to take it off the water. Just to take it off was a 7-month paperwork and battle with the various agencies, and they finally allowed us, if we promised not to touch the water when we got it off. And Chris Battaloni had an action plan to do that and had his truck there and pushed it for months. So they were able to get it off without using equipment that actually touched the waterway.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, which was great because I think it was 2 weeks later, there was that major ice buildup, et cetera. And then the water started flowing and the footers actually fell in more and the bridge thankfully didn't get swept away. So, yeah. All right, so we got our first and second?
Yeah.
We do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so yes, that will be taken care of after Cara has a chance to review and give us approval for that. Also in your packet, you'll see some email communications with the West End Main Street, well, it's called the West Main Street Cambridge Sewer Disposal Association. That is the little group of property owners on the West End, on the China King block. They all have the septic together and contribute toward that. And the village, of course, took over Ackley, which was a party to that wastewater, well, it's not wastewater, it's a septic system. So I had some multiple conversations with them, seeing how that we don't actually own a building that's using the septic. I know Cara had a couple conversations as well to try to determine what is the village's role in all this, because they do have some, I believe they have to redo their leach field this summer and spring and to be in accordance with DEC because it's having some issues. But trying to figure out how are we involved, seeing how we don't actually have a building on it. So they came up with, they had their own little meeting on March 19th. It says their meeting was conducted during which the board of directors decided that there was no need for the Village of Cambridge to become a member of the association. And as a result, the Village of Cambridge will not be considered a customer only and will not possess any of the rights of membership.
We will be considered. a
Because there is no building currently at the location, no customer usage fees will be assessed. And if at some time in the future, the village chooses to build a structure that would use the septic services, the village would be responsible to pay any cost to connect to the system and any cost for the future usage of that. So when I first met with a member of the group, they, said typically you're obligated to pay a yearly fee to be a part of that. And since we took the building in 2015, we haven't paid any monies for many years, which the new people who are running the association, because the buildings have sold, and I believe John Imhoff was the one who handled all this back before he sold his. So they were new to it and didn't even know that, you know, we should be a party. But I said, you know, if we're not using the septic, then why should the taxpayers pay? Because that's ultimately who pays at the end of the day. So they came up with this of, you know, so you're not a member, you don't have voting rights at their little board meetings, but should we want to in the future, that option is open to connect if there at any time were to be a building built there that we wanted to be a part of. So that is that, just to update you on that.
I mean, hypothetically though, I mean, the village, why would we ever build anything there?
It's such a tiny, it's only a 45 by 75 lot. I mean, I don't know if in the future,
Very nice
they
spot
just
for
want
it.
to, that isn't a lot right on Main Street, but there's no parking and, you know, no.
Has the village ever thought about selling it?
We did actually, when we took it over, we looked into it and the
Yeah.
going rate for selling it was gonna be like $1,200.
Oh, gosh.
Because it's such a small lot and it had no building, so I got some prices from realtors of what they thought the
Interesting.
going rate would be to sell it, because we at least have to get fair market value for it as being village property.
Yeah.
And it was very minimal.
Okay.
So it was worth more to spruce it up and have a nice little pocket park there on that side of town and brighten up that side of town a little bit. But that's not
For
saying in the future, you know, maybe they want to build something there, a 2-story, you know, municipal building of some sort.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility.
Okay.
So that is what that one is all about. Next up, I had Lance redo the income survey that I believe, did I present that at January's meeting or February's? Can't remember now. This is from G&G Process. This was the original income survey I had gotten. During that time, I also spoke with Candace Ballmer from RCAP Solutions, because that was suggested to me as an option to look into. They also do it, they're a nonprofit, and they do it free for municipalities. So I had a meeting about 2.5 weeks ago with Candace. They basically help you with the paperwork part of the survey. They give you the survey list, they help you post notice, they give you what you should mail to every household. But they don't do the door-to-door where they actually go and collect the data for you. That would be something we would have to take care of on our end. Which in talking with different people, the kid has said, you know, not everybody's happy to see the mayor come to the door and ask what their income is. So she
Oh my
says
God,
sometimes
yeah.
you will get skewed information that isn't accurate simply because they don't want the village government knowing what they make. So that was a very interesting point. She told me that if we are in a position to afford it, to pay for it and get it done, and just get it done and know for certain where you guys stand. So I did reach out to Jay Grasso, because he submitted this back in December to me. And so I reached out to him to see if it was still an option, if his calendar was still free, and could we still get it at the same rate that he gave us, which was $7,890 plus the postage to mail to our residents. I called him. Actually, he had me on his list to call me because he was doing his spring schedule. He said, absolutely, he still will have time for us if I let him know as soon as possible, and that he would still honor his December price, even though fees had gone up, because he understands we're in a bit of a situation.
This is the company in Spencerport, correct?
Yeah, well, yes, Spencerport, yes. Yeah.
That's pretty far away. The $78.90 includes travel costs for him, right?
I'm
guessing
pretty
we're not gonna have to pay
certain,
extra for
it
his
should
gas.
say that in there.
Just curious, but I mean, Spencerport's out near Rochester, I
I
believe.
mean, all it says is 78.90 plus postage.
I can get firm,
Okay.
but I believe they actually, he comes out here from the Rochester area and stays right here.
Okay.
And knocks it out, him and another person, or however many people he feels he needs to bring out from his team to do that. I haven't got confirmation yet, but my idea, since this is an expense that we weren't anticipating the HUD rules to change and so much to change, especially during a pandemic year. was that the American Rescue Plan monies that we were gonna be getting, that this could qualify possibly as a purchase we could do from that. I'm still waiting for firm confirmation from Senator Schumer's office. When I did a video conference last week with Schumer's office and some others, they didn't get into the nitty-gritty details of what money, what you could spend it on, but they said, "Sir, check with us first. We will help figure it out." The language to the federal government is really flexible, and the tricky part is they don't pre-authorize anything before you spend it. You spend it and then certify that you spent it on this with the US Treasury, and then Treasury tells you, yes, that's an eligible one, or no, it's not, after you spent the funds.
Cross your fingers.
Right, and that's why Schumer's office said, reach out to us prior. We will try to get you some hard facts to be able to say, yeah, this is a good purchase, or no, you're on the border with this one. And Senator Schumer also did say that, look, he's willing to do whatever he needs to do for communities to help get costs certified. Because he understands that, municipalities aren't just gonna have these joyride expenses, that there's some important things that they wanna do and be able to do with that money. So that is the goal, is to spend that $7,800 from that.
And I know we're off topic from this, but did Schumer's office say anything about when that money will become available?
Well, the money, what happens is it gets turned over to the county, and then after that, it comes to us. So I think it's a 90-day turnaround from the feds to when it gets to us.
Gotcha.
I think they were anticipating May. May would be the date that it came out to the villages.
I mean, I have no idea what postage would cost, but I'm guessing this will probably stay under $10,000 as long as these are all the costs.
Yeah, I think when we initially researched to do the police reform survey out to every household, it was like $480 something.
It was not a.
It wasn't a
unreasonable
whole lot
Yeah.
for the number of places. And that's also why you do door to door, because when you do the postage, it's only going to the one individual whose name's on the tax roll. So if it's an apartment building, it's going to one person, and you need to be able to get the income levels of everybody in the apartments, not just the owner. And that's the tricky piece with the mailing, is that you aren't hitting all of your population with the mailing. So, yeah. Oh, I think they can cross pull from like voter reg to pull people too from apartments. But they have to be able to get addresses from public sources. We can't just go around and randomly pull them. My mind, like, well, go to the apartment building. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, send them all, but there's rules to it. So anyway, I think it's a good idea. I think this is definitely we definitely want to try to get ourselves back into range, because there's going to be so much money pumped toward infrastructure these next 3 years from the federal government and state government. That, let's do our income survey and find out, where do we sit? Did we truly lose it, or was this just HUD only got a select sampling, which is what they typically do, is only a select sampling of your community that gets the HUD survey. I didn't get one.
Yeah.
So I don't know who they actually pulled for our income levels here. So yeah, the motion would read, authorize the mayor to sign contract with G&G Municipal Consulting and grant writing to perform income survey to determine median household income and low moderate income of the proposed service area pending legal review by the village attorney.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I think this will be super helpful, not just for us, but also for organizations and nonprofits. in the
Yes,
area.
all of our
Really like-
community groups, absolutely,
For sure.
absolutely. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? To that end, next up, I also have the copy of the latest from LaBerge as well. I told them they had given this to me back in December. Prior to the changes, not only did we lose our income survey, but the state also changed the game in grant eligibility. So our study, we would have done the DEC discharge limits. That was the next step we needed to take after our study. Preliminary option costs, financing, typical homeowner costs, and treatment plant location. That was standard that we would have had to done that we didn't complete from 2019. The new item is the decentralized system evaluation. So now the state requires that you not only show the centralized system, but you show a decentralized system as well to even be grant eligible. So that changed the game. Our report was done, completed, and now it's not considered completing according to the state. So in order to be grant eligible, we have to do that piece as well. And then also we never took the next step to do the environmental review of the seeker. Because that's after your study is done. So to move on, to be ready to apply for the first round of grants that will be released in July, we need to have these done and run them on a parallel course with our income survey, because our income survey is probably going to take about 2.5, 3 months to complete, as well as these action items. So the fee for that is $30,000 to get this done. And we would be able to start submitting for some of the funds. As we had before in our meetings, us applying for grants is not committing to doing wastewater. We are not saying we are doing it tomorrow. What we are doing is we're saying we are going to apply for funding and see what happens. That's the thing. Many times, Spillage has talked about wastewater for many, many years. And it has never actually proceeded to try to get some funding. Without the funding, we can't do it. So any discussions we have about systems, different types of systems, it's all hypothetical if we can't get the money. If we can't get that first EFC grant, we're not eligible for the next CDBG one. We're not available for the next one. And we can't afford to do it without the money. And I really think this is also another piece that I'm waiting for confirmation that if the CARES plan money can cover this 30 grand, then we're not even taking that out of our budget. I would not submit and commit to LaBerge, even though tonight, if we choose to have a resolution saying we want to move forward with that, I would not have a contract with them until I know for a fact that 30 grand will come back to us. That's a little bit larger than 7,800.
Yep.
I want a firm letter from Schumer's office saying that all these items are eligible. So that way, if the US Treasury says, oh, no, I can say, here's the information from my senator, you talk to him about it. So I would be looking for approval tonight, but it's not something that's gonna happen. It may not even I know we need to do it in April because we really need to get the ball rolling to be ready for July. That's the tricky part. And then also, as we're pursuing these grants over the next 1.5 years, is start back up again with our public engagement. Steve and I had done an online meeting with MSK and really talked about that piece. That's something is I don't feel our public is fully aware of the situation we're in, fully aware of how it's impeded our ability. I think a lot of that people really saw in the fall with the recreational economy grant. That was a major topic that was brought up. So it'd be great to start, as we're waiting to see if we get the money, to start those public engagement interactions again, which I think MSK is going to do us up a quote of what they would charge to actually come out here and start holding some public forums for us, to be able to say, get the public on board with us. So when we do get the money and we have it, the public is right there with us saying, yes, we want to move forward. No, we don't, so we know. Because even if we get the funding, we don't necessarily have to commit. We can say, thank you very much for approving us for this grant, but we've decided not to move on, or we can't move on. So a lot of that would be determined. So I guess the motion, do you have something drafted?
I do not have something drafted, but that doesn't mean we can't come up with one here on the fly. So,
Pending legal review as well, because I would like Cara, I have never sent the LaBerge info over to her, but I'll have to review that.
so basically I saw the proposal here. Are we basically looking to accept their proposal as written? Pending legal review?
Pending legal review and,
Pending, if we get federal money.
and how do we make it legally
Yeah, yeah,
sounding
yeah,
for the
right,
money?
right.
Pending legal review and,
Are we awaiting approval of?
Pending.
Or advice from the senator's office.
yeah, I'm trying to make it sound legal with the waiting, when governor's up, not governor, when Schumer's office gives us the go-ahead to the, waiting eligibility, how about that? Pending legal
Confirmation of
approval
eligibility.
and rescue plan rescue funds eligibility.
Confirmation of
Yeah,
eligibility.
confirmation of rescue funds
Under-
eligibility, I think that sounds, that will cover our bases.
Authorize Mayor Boga to sign contract with LaBerge Group. And I'm just trying to find the best way to summarize what they're looking to do here. For update of sewer feasibility study. For update of sewer feasibility study.
Well, the
And-
letter dated March 17th if you want some perimeter,
And proposed services per, what's the date of that, March 17th
March
proposal,
17th.
pending legal review and receipt of
Confirmation of,
confirmation of your marked funds.
confirmation of eligibility under the rescue plan.
Under the American.
Yeah, American Rescue Plan. Make it sound official.
Confirmation of funding eligibility.
HR 1170, no, I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Do you have Schumer's social security number?
Yes.
The American Rescue Plan. All right, so here's what we got. We've got authorized Mayor Boga to sign contract with LaBerge Group for update of sewer feasibility study and proposed services per March 17, 2021 proposal, pending legal review and confirmation of funding eligibility under the American Rescue Plan.
Sounds official.
I'll make the motion on that.
A second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah,
Yes, you
just-
have a question.
Just one thing, even talking about, a wastewater system is moot unless we get these grants, but we also need the LMI designation too, right?
Yes.
We're dead in the water without
We're
that.
dead in the water
Okay.
and if we had a few extra months, we could have done the income survey first and then this piece, but now that we've hit April.
Yeah.
To run parallel track is gonna be the best bet.
So we'll have this signed basically in our hip pocket.
Yeah.
So that
There
way,
you go.
July rolls around and those grants are released for July, the first round, that we can be in on that first round. If we don't get the first round, then we would resubmit for the second round, and it takes time, it takes time to get the grant funding. But, the study, this will not get out and completed again, according to the state. We were so close, and then they changed that decentralized rule. But we can add any. I know when we had a productive conversation with MSK, alternate options. We can add other systems to our study. We can have our study have 5 or 6 different systems if we so chose. You can always do an addendum and add one to your study. If we developed a cheaper costing one, that can be an addendum in there, and then when we win the grant money, we just tell the state, oh wait, we're going with this option now out of our plan. They say, they're not gonna get after us for spending less money. But the gold standard in the wastewater world is that centralized system that's in there. That's the one they want to see to determine if you should get money, et cetera. That doesn't mean we can't come up with other plans that meet the criteria of what the centralized system would be and swap it out. But that's further down the road when we get to that point. So there's lots of possibilities, and we can add in, once we do the MSK public forum meetings, if we so choose to do those and have them do, all the data they collect from the public forums, we can add that right to our study as well. That would be put in there for the public piece. And the state expects that your study is gonna change and evolve from year to year, because we started this process, was it 2017, we got the award to start it, and then, here we are in 2021, so things change, it needs to be updated in this, that, et cetera, so. But I think this is the year to try to put in, I think we owe it to this community to put in for these grants and see if we can get that money, since there's gonna be so much pumped in to infrastructure. I really hate to see us miss out. At least we can put in for the grants and say we tried. All right, next item, and I'm sorry, I've got so many items. March was a very busy month. The fire department, SCBA, I had mentioned in talk.
Did we vote on that?
Oh, did we vote on that? We're still in discussion. No, we
Yeah,
didn't
I
vote.
think we were.
All those in
Yeah, I
favor?
was just wondering.
Thank you,
I was like,
guys.
something.
It's because I don't have my line with the little boxes at the bottom anymore. It's throwing me
You know,
out.
Our technology just won't let us
All
do it
those
anymore.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, these ones are definitely easier to post on the internet than the little boxes. All right, so we're good to go with LaBerge. Fire Department SCBA, I touched briefly, I believe, at our last budget meeting, that is set to expire.
Those are the air packs,
Those
right?
are the air packs.
Yeah.
We knew they were gonna be expiring in 2021. We weren't really sure the date. We know the date now. The problem is that the grant that the fire department applied for is usually done in the fall and awarded in early winter. So we would already know if we were getting that funding or not. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they bumped it back, and it was February you applied, and we probably won't get a solid answer till June, July. I think the summer is what they said, which really throws a wrench into this. So I'm working with Chief Gray and Deputy Chief Nash Alexander and Trustee Robertson on trying to brainstorm how do we make this happen by our deadline, but don't put us in a place to jeopardize losing the grant funding. So if we front the money and pay for it, and they win it, we can't reimburse ourselves.
Oh.
Unless we get a FEMA emergency purchase, which is what Nash is working on to see if our situation qualifies for a FEMA emergency purchase. If it does, and they end up being awarded the grant in the summer, we can reimburse ourselves. Tonight, I wanted to have that all wrapped up for tonight. We don't have solid answers. So this will be an item that I would like to have a special meeting later on in April.
April 20th.
April 20th is our deadline to order it, so it will be here. So we need to make a choice. So we've been kind of looking at options. I had less poll numbers if we bonded. How did I do that? Bonded the funding. We are looking at roughly at $260,000 for this. So I had to pull some numbers. The interest rates are really good. On a three-year non-callable, the rate is 1.75. Three-year callable is 195. Non-callable means we can't pay it off early. Callable means that we could pay it off anytime we wanted to. So there's a 20% difference in being able to pay it off early versus not.
How many years is that?
Three.
This is a three, and we also have options for 5. If we borrow the full $260,000, our yearly payment would be $86,000 for a 3-year. And a 5-year would be $52,000 that we would have to add to our budget this year. If we only took $200 and used some of our fund balance, we're down to a $66,000 payment, or a 5-year $40,000. If we borrowed $160 and funded the other $100 from our fund balance, 3 years would be $53,000, or 5 years would be $32,000. So those are the numbers for that. If we wanted to bond it or part of it, we do know roughly that like I said, our funds right now, we're sitting at spent $1,069,601. I want Les to go through and figure out what we project to spend in April and May, because at this point we do have a $313,000 variance. So we could potentially actually fund these out of our budget this year if we are not going to go over. Obviously, we're going to end with a little less fund balance because we wouldn't have monies from this budget cycle being added to what is already in our cash books from last year's fund balance, because if you know, fund balance is not included in your operating statement and budgets, but it's tracked in the cash report. That's an option, we could do that. Another option, if we wanted to hold off and make it to June 1 to know what our final fund balance number would be, and to find out whether they get that, is to purchase 20 of the bottles. Roughly gonna be about $30,000. If we purchase them here in April, would buy us time to find out if they get that grant and how much fund balance we actually would have with whatever is remaining from this budget cycle and what is already in our fund balance.
The bottles are 1,300 apiece.
A piece.
So,
I know the department is working on possibly finding some from other departments. If we had 20 bottles, that would help them tide them over for the bottle requirements. The air pack piece, they're not till the fall, but it's the bottles they can't use.
So the bottles got a 15-year lifespan on them. And the problem, so we've addressed this problem. The problem is we could use them all the way to September, October, or whatever, but once they're empty, we can't refill them.
Mhm.
So one call, we could deplete a lot of these bottles. So we're out looking right now for, like, say if another department maybe just got new ones,
Mhm.
had some old ones that had life left on them.
Yeah.
You know, to buy us the time, buy us more time for that window.
So I mean, we could, like I had Les pull the options, bond 160 and use 100 from fund balance, and there we go. 5 years, that'd be 32,000. So we would have to add 32,000 to this current budget that we're in. Obviously, we don't want to increase our levy, so we're gonna take $32,000 of fund balance and add that to our fund balance. So we still would be paying it from the fund balance.
Yeah.
So it's deciding what option is best. Is it best to, since we would be paying the loan from fund balance plus interest now, and we're already gonna do it from our fund balance anyway, is just pay it free and clear from the fund balance and be done with it, or have a loan on it. That is why we're trying to firm up some real avenues here for April, and that's why I want to do a special meeting, so that way we have definite info from FEMA as to whether this purchase counts or this purchase does not count to reimburse yourselves. We could just, pay it all and be done with it, but it would be really heart-wrenching to pay out and then they get that grant
Yeah.
and we didn't get their approval for emergency purchase, and now we can't reimburse ourselves.
Yeah.
And of course, this would be the year that would happen, it would happen when we paid it out. Then again, Les was projecting roughly 300,000 in fund balance initially. I know he's gonna run new numbers to verify that. We're using 50 of it toward our budget, so that takes us down to 250 in fund balance, if that's the true number. That's money we've already taxed people for, and honestly, that I'm happy we have a hefty fund balance. It's been great that we've been able to build upon it every year through wise spending choices, and that's much to the credit of our department heads. The radios that we had planned were gonna be 50, you guys found them for cheaper. The, trucks, you guys all shop around and try to bring down the projected cost. I would like just to see spend a good chunk of that on these air packs and call it done, and bring our fund balance back down to, a little bit more level, because we're not taxing the public to build a savings account. We're taxing them to run services.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy that we're in a lot better shape than many municipalities due to COVID. And I thank God that we did not have to expend a bunch of money on COVID. I just feel that I would really hate to see us increase taxes if we already have the funds that we could use. So we're gonna try to get some firm information so we can have the special meeting to go in depth and say, guys, here's our options, and we pick one.
And we'll take that at the.
Yes, at the special meeting.
Okay.
Later this month.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to have you be all aware of that's what's going on. And like I said, we would already know in February that we would have had to pay for this. But because of the grant being bumped back, it really just kind of threw everything.
Yeah, and just from a logistical standpoint, when you and Les have those things, please email us. I'm gonna need to chew on this for a few days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
every day, Nash or I or both of us.
Yeah, the
we're-
last 2
we're-
weeks, this 2 weeks is
I
when
mean,
we
we're looking
found
into
out.
every
Yeah,
Yeah,
option. You know, I reached out to, somebody I know for state fire who deals with all those departments all over the state. You know, they hear of anybody getting anything, like I said, you know, even if the bottles, it's the bottles right now that's really, you know, hurting us. So if we found ones that even if they had 5 more months, I mean, that would be great, you know. Like I said, once we exhaust the air out of them, we can't refill them. And that's the hard part.
right, so yeah, so just to be aware, be thinking about that, and once we know firm from FEMA, then we can actually have some idea of what option do we want. And then on the bottom was the police reform and emergency plans. They were both adopted by April 1st, so we are in good shape with the state, as I touched on a little bit ago. And that concludes my report. Pending any questions from the trustees?
yeah, I guess I was gonna bring it up, I guess, during Sergeant Danko's presentation, but we might as well talk about it now. I don't wanna put trustees on the spot, but, or the mayor, but I'm sure as everyone is aware, you know, the state legislature recently passed and the governor signed a bill legalizing cannabis in the state. 4 towns in Long Island have already come out saying that they're against it and that they're not gonna allow sales in their municipalities. Again, I don't wanna put anyone on the spot. You don't even have to give me your opinion, but I'm really hoping that our municipality does not go that way.
That is actually something we will have to address before December 31st.
Okay.
That is the opt-out timeframe.
Okay,
Right now, I would say we have to take any action because there's so much information we don't even have yet.
okay,
Yeah, the trick is if you opt out, you don't get that 3% revenue.
Right.
And I don't necessarily know what the 3% of what number it is, but I mean, that's a possibility for a revenue booster in our community. So far, really, in terms of hearing from the public, I haven't heard any major, people feeling one way or another. A few have expressed concerns. I think a store, like a place that sells products, kind of seems to be pretty okay, as a storefront. I think for us, as we move forward, and probably as the public learns more about this, is the on-site consumption piece is probably gonna be the harder part for people to accept or to get onto, which I just told someone asked, well, people are out there Argyle brewing and they're having a beer by the picnic table, now they can, do this. And I said, no. Businesses would still have, like Argyle Brewing would have to apply for an on-site consumption license. Just like they would their liquor license to allow for on-site. So there is a process in place. Our thing is gonna be probably just trying to ride that fence and bridge everybody together of what do we think our villagers wanna see. I mean, because instead of opting out, you can also control it with zoning and planning. You can pick certain sections of your community that could only be that type of shop, just like we do with any other thing in our regular zoning. So that's another way of working with it without opting out. Obviously, we would have to address our public parks. We typically have no smoking policy for those anyway, so it would be very similar. It was still considered smoking, smokeless. So because someone did mention about that, children playing on the playground. I said, well, no, it'd be just like they can't smoke cigarettes out in the playground. You can't do that. And so we'll have to adopt policies for that to do that. I mean, we can. I was talking with someone yesterday, we can go to the extent of controlling it on our sidewalks if we so chose. So we could say you can't smoke on the public sidewalks while you're walking down the street if you didn't want to. Just like there's laws for open container. You can't actually walk down the sidewalk with an open container. You're not supposed to anyway. But the pieces that you can't single out cannabis, we would have to do like a smokeless policy, which would include cigarettes. So if you can't smoke a joint walking down Main Street, you can no longer smoke a cigarette too. So yeah, there's gonna be lots of conversations we'll have to have. We'll obviously have to update our employee handbook, because while we don't allow smoking or drinking on the job, we would also not allow this when you're on duty, as well. So, yeah, so
Thanks.
I think that's something that probably over the course of the summer, maybe into the fall, even if we have to have a public forum, maybe once COVID's finally over.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can have a public forum where anybody with feelings on it can
Come
come in
talk
and
to
address
us.
it.
Great idea.
Yeah,
Chances are we have to pass a law, and if we have to pass a law, there's also gonna have to be public hearing process. So
absolutely. So, yeah, so there's, I think there's a way of, it definitely creates a different dynamic, obviously for our officers, they're probably gonna feel it the most because it changes some of the ways, they would handle their typical traffic stops, et cetera.
Absolutely.
I do want to remind people that while, yes, it is legalized and you can have it on your person, at this moment, there's still no licensed locations to buy it in New York. So I noticed some people posting different things on social media. Just remember, buying it in mass is okay, but getting it from an illegal source here in New York is not, and to probably not share that on your social media right now. Yeah, so we'll, there's other states around us to look to. We can look to Vermont and Mass, et cetera, and see what some of those communities there to find that balance.
Yeah, there's enough history out there.
Yeah.
Now that we're not going
Find some
blind.
balance, so.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel.
No,
Right,
absolutely not.
exactly. Find, what works for us and work with it, work with the perimeters. But I would hate to see us miss out on the revenue since it is going to be here anyway. So we can do that, but we've got till the 31st of December to decide. So if that helps answer some of your questions.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having
You're
the conversation.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I know the state keeps doing stuff that has us doing a lot of different work down here, I tell you. Oh. All right, you are up, Chief Gray.
Okay, so I'd like to surplus a few things. I'd like to surplus, one set of fire gear, boots, coat, and bunker pants. And I'd also like to surplus one, Fire FLIR FLIR thermal imaging camera.
Are you guys cleaning house to move into the new firehouse? Yeah.
Yeah, no, the thermal imaging camera actually came from, monies when they had the anhydrous ammonia leak like 20 years ago
Wow.
in Fort Edward.
Wow,
And yeah, it's no longer,
it's seen its time.
yeah, it's seen its time. The batteries have died and they've come out with new
Do
models.
you plan to sell it though?
Yeah, we'll try selling it to see if we can get anything for, whether we can or can't. I'm not sure.
Probably not 260,000.
Probably.
No. I'd be surprised if we got $260 for it.
Nash seems like a good salesman.
Yeah.
We got some stuff coming up at some point, so some pump service coming up here, and hose and ladder testing. So we've been out and about training, doing some flow testing on the hydrants, so we're out and about, you see us out and about. So just because you see us doesn't mean it's a call. We tested the hydrant by where the fire station's gonna be built.
Yes.
We got just over like 1,100 gallons a minute flow off that hydrant, which is really good comparative to what it used to be over in that area. So since fall, we've flow tested quite a few of the hydrants around the village, and the numbers have come up dramatically,
That's great.
where our bottom numbers that we find right now is, in the 700s. Our top numbers years ago, Maddie could vouch for us, maybe were about 400 gallons a minute,
Oh, wow.
so now we're doing really well on that.
Nice.
All right, so do you have a drafted resolution for the surplus items that we need?
Declare one set boots and bunker gear, is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, you could say bunker gear, it would be a coat, pants, and boots.
Okay, so boots is redundant then, It's one set bunker gear and one FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar, is that what that is?
Thermal imaging camera,
Okay, one FLIR thermal imaging camera surplus.
yes.
That's basically the motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, I guess I should ask the question. When you put this stuff in the surplus and you wanna sell it, do you like go put it on Craigslist or something? Like where could I buy
There's a
this
government
thermal imaging
surplus
camera?
website
The
that they,
website.
Yeah, we,
said they sold the truck.
yeah, we sold the truck through the Gov Deals. We could go to Auctions International. Some stuff if. when we
Fellow
need-
departments I know are
Yeah.
interested sometimes and it doesn't make it to the
Right,
auction site.
sometimes other fire departments,
Yeah.
sometimes some of the stuff we've deemed as surplus, and it's actually just garbage.
Okay.
It's not usable for anybody, and we're just deeming it to make sure you guys have it off your books. That way, if somebody did an audit of some sort and said, oh, we're looking for, this stuff, it just has a shelf life, or, or it's no good anymore.
Gotcha.
Anything
Doesn't
else?
Um,
I know it's just been Firehouse.
no,
Air packs.
yeah, no, it's, yeah, no, I don't have anything unless anybody has any questions. The only thing I will say is I don't know whether if you're gonna have a special meeting after the 13th for the air packs, if you'd wanna put the fire department next Tuesday does their, elections, it'll be for the line officers. So I don't know if you wanna wait till May, or if you wanna put that part of the other one to appoint the people elected next week.
It's whatever. I mean, if you need people to start right away as opposed to holding off
It doesn't-
until May.
It doesn't matter,
Okay.
either way, I mean,
Okay.
so.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, and another piece of the firehouse, I forgot to mention is the archaeo work has started. They are out there, so if you drive by and see big holes and digging, they're taking those artifacts out, so. That is going on probably for 2 weeks here roughly?
Yeah, he said about 2 weeks.
2 weeks is what it's gonna take them to get all the artifacts out, so. Yes, all right, let's see. You were up, sir.
Well, of course, the weather broke. Of course, we've been doing the weekly, emptying garbage cans. The warm weather come along, we start our brush pick up a few weeks earlier this year. We've been cold patching. I put up some dog litter signs where we've been having problems, and the problems have fixed themselves. We also started sweeping the village sidewalks. My street guys will be coming in probably the end of this month to do some street sweeping. I've been hauling some stone dust, getting ready to do sidewalks. I've been fixing blown lights, and we fixed an air line out at the firehouse. We fixed the library's little cable outside they use for the internet. The kids, they trashed that. We fixed that. So vehicle maintenance, we fixed the sidewalk tamper, an air line on the dump truck. We put the tank and the sweeper on the little tractor. And then, of course, every Friday, I usually do the COVID sanitizing of all the equipment, the office, the bathrooms. I want to thank New York State DOT for hanging up the 4 Purple Heart signs at the village entrances on the state highway. Also like to thank the Washington County Highway for putting their signs up on their streets. And of course, we put one up on our street. For items for discussion, I would like to start our 4 10-hour days on 4/14. And my sidewalk budget, we couldn't use it last year. I have roughly $6,200 in it. I would like to order a stainless steel salt sander for my 1-ton pickup. And you guys have the estimates in your packets. There's one from Trias for $4,700 and change. Everybody else is a lot more.
And we have a motion set up for that already, which I just have to edit one minor part. But if we want to discuss it, I'll read the motion so we can get it on the floor.
There's two different ones on the trials.
Yeah, the one that's 487320, it's the one on the bottom.
Okay,
Yeah.
The motion reads, authorize DPW to purchase one 8-foot stainless steel 12-volt striker spreader from Trias Incorporated at a price not to exceed $48.7320. Disregard the plus applicable taxes. Lost myself there. From residual funds left in FY21 sidewalk fund. So you got three bids. You got
I did have some residents ask if, because we didn't get sidewalk done, if there was a possibility to do last year's and this year's in one. And that's, the manpower to do that is what's the problem. The money part, because we still have money, so
Yeah,
we could
I still
afford to
got money left
pay.
over.
It's just the manpower and length of hours in the summer for you guys to actually double up on your sidewalks is what would be the pincher, correct?
Yeah, we usually do 600 feet.
Okay. So to do
That's quite a bit of
1,200
work.
feet would be,
That's quite a bit of work, the 600 feet with the guys I got now, because I have two guys that don't work for me anymore. And then we're only down to me and Art and Chuck, and he's retired from the county, so he can only, work
Right.
so much, and then
and
I have Ray that works on Mondays and
part-timers that we
Tuesdays.
pull in, yeah,
Other than that, it's just us two.
yeah. And this salt and sanders will be good for
Yep.
the winter,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, it'd be on the village 1 ton.
Okay,
See, what we do now is the village 1 ton goes and follows all the lanes, the parking lots. And when he gets done, then one of the big trucks has to either backhand and do it.
right,
And getting in that Washington Street parking lot over the big truck
it's impossible, yeah,
we usually, use the sidewalk sander, but then we have to take it off the
the sidewalk.
sidewalks and then go do parking lots and stuff. And it's not working.
So having one on the 1 ton would help mobility as
Yep, when other guys in the
a
1
way to
ton,
access.
he gets done plowing, he salts it, he's all done.
So you
don't
can
to
have
go back.
two vehicles that can do salting and sanding, plus the sidewalk tractor doing
I
salting
got
and
the two big
sanding.
trucks, I
Yeah,
have the sidewalk sander that stays on the sidewalks.
and then
And
now
this
the
will
1
be
ton as
doing the
well.
parking lots, the lanes.
Which that's always half the battle in winter is to get the salt
They used to
and
have one
sand
years
on
and years
them,
ago, but I
yeah.
brought it out and we never replaced it.
Okay,
We've decreased our salt budget and we,
and now we're gonna be cranking it out this winter, right? We don't know, right? We don't know, now we're gonna have
No,
another.
you still have some left over,
Yeah,
quite a bit.
okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay, so we got Steve
A second.
and ADS. All right.
Any further discussion?
So if you wanna use the remaining sidewalk and put it on the sidewalk, I can do that. I might well get another pour out of it.
Yeah, there's like still another 1,200 or so.
Yeah.
And it's roughly 1,200 to
Yep.
But even with putting some money
1,400
to this, we still
for
have a little
another
bit
100
that
yards,
we
so I
could
might
use
be able to
to
do
do,
700 yards. this
squeak
year.
out 700 yards as opposed to 6. That could work, yeah. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, just got a couple other motions in there for DPW.
Standard.
One is an annual one, just authorize mayor to sign New York State DOT Perm 1, undertaking for the benefit of the New York State Department of Transportation in connection with work affecting state highways. It's an annual requirement outlining responsibilities with regarding maintenance of state highways. Just the I do, you do that he has
Yeah, the
with.
standard one we do every
Yeah, we do it
year.
every year.
I'm happy to make that motion.
Okay, ADS,
I'll second.
Steve Roberts.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and
All right,
lastly,
and then
for what
to-
he brought up here about the switching to 410s.
Yep.
You do that till what, October?
Huh?
You do
We
that
do it
till?
until, about the first week of October.
Well, I don't mind, I'll make the motion too, and
Okay.
we can talk about it, but
I'll second it, that way we can.
All right, discussion, yes, let's go
Beautiful.
ahead.
why does this require, board approval? Why don't you just do it?
I always ask.
Oh,
I'll just
I
make
didn't
sure.
know if you needed legally a resolution
No.
from us or something. Okay,
No, I always ask so everybody knows.
works for me.
Yeah, previous village attorney basically said, at any point, if we ask, does this need a motion? Just go
Then
with
do the
motion.
motion,
And the
yeah.
carrot tells us the same, so.
There's no
Yeah.
harm. And And then it's recorded, you know, then we have it there
Exactly.
that,
Gotcha, just making sure. Cool.
Okay, so we have a motion from Steve.
Second from Steve.
all those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Matt. Sergeant Danko, you are up.
We had a light numbers month for March, but we had 9 cases that were reported to the Department of Criminal Justice for a total of 32, 4 arrests for a total of 22 for the year. We have 45 calls of service for March for a total of 122, 1 motor vehicle accident, better than last month. Traffic tickets were down to 11 for the month. We're at a total of 77 for the year, and our arrest types are listed below.
Well, that's good. 11, maybe people are slowing down. I hope that's a good sign. They're
No,
slowing
we were
down
in the
now.
office a lot for.
You guys have been trapped doing paperwork, that's why.
Yeah.
But I do encourage everyone to slow down, because everybody's getting warm and everybody's getting out and active and driving around, and there are kids on the sidewalks that people are speeding down. So be mindful of the speed through the village.
Here.
Speaking of, Sergeant Tanko gave us an estimate on the radar signs, right?
Yes.
But we never decided
We
to,
never officially approved the purchase of them. I know it was about what, the last one quote you brought was about $5,000 for 2 with the battery
Yeah.
packs and.
I think to put it on all the major roads that we want around the village is like $10,000 or something.
If we wanted it on, yes,
Right.
if we wanted more than 2. I mean, that's something, once we have hit our end of year and see how much we're spending on air packs, that's something we can say, okay, we're taking $5,000 from our fund balance to specifically designate toward the speed signs.
Infrastructure support.
I feel like I saw that in one of the letters too, around the police reform, like if you take that sort of off your plate as much as possible, then it lets the police be sort of out in the community more as well.
As long as people slow down when they see them, right? Yeah.
That too.
You get your warning as you come into the village, you're going, you know, but it's a nice reminder, because sometimes people, you're absentmindedly driving along and you're like, oh, wait, whoa, I'm in 30 now, and that little flashing light at you does the trick.
for sure. Okay, great.
All right, well, thank you, sir.
You got your
Oh,
report?
can I?
Yes,
just wanted to
go ahead.
thank, again, reiterate, just thank everybody for the committee. And I also wanted to thank Mr. Sweeney for his help with the website stuff. He did a phenomenal job. Kept forgetting to
Absolutely,
thank him during the public meetings, during reform. I just wanted to say it now.
absolutely, thank you so much. It was very challenging to have the added layer of technology needed because of COVID, but Jim made it really easy, and the work he did setting up the survey particularly was amazing. And actually, I think we were one of the few municipalities that actually did an electronic version of a survey. Most opted to do paper or submit your questions for the survey, you know, answer the survey by mail. So I'm really proud that we, you know, had that option to have that capability, because I think that helped with the response. Way easier to click, 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 as opposed to filling out and mailing out and stuff like that. So especially among the younger generation, which is very used to being able to click, 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 and they're done. So thank you, Jim. All right, youth, Lindsay has her report in there. Of course, she's been working on the plans for summer camp, getting everything lined up for that. Registrations for summer camp have already started coming in, so families are already planning for those few weeks in the summer. I do have a bit of sad news in regards to the youth. Lindsay would like to step down, hopefully sometime May, June-ish, to pursue other interests. And she says, thank you guys, you know, for the last 4 years. It's been a pleasure doing that. And, you know, sad to see her go, because she is so organized, especially when it comes to all of the paperwork that goes along with this. So I'll be getting with Lance to pull the info from the last time, see if it needs any update when we posted notice. So we will be posting that we will need a new youth director. And
But if-
so,
But if you're out there listening.
yes, if you're out there listening and would like to pre-submit a resume, we would be happy to accept that as well. So we will be looking for a replacement for Lindsay. She promised that she was not going to leave us high and dry. She was going to make sure everything was settled for summer camp,
You know.
et cetera, and that was all taken care of prior to that. So, Lindsay's been phenomenal. The children love her, and it's been great getting to know her. That's how I met her, was through this, her taking on this role here in the village, and it's been wonderful having her do that. But completely understands, wanting to move on from the village and pursue other interests, or, your children grow up and your interests change and what job situations change. So, be watching for those postings to be going out. And assessors,
Yeah,
we're all
nothing to
good
report.
here.
He's all
We're
good.
past the.
It's the first time he's got
We've
nothing to
got all
report
the
this month.
assessment numbers are done, et cetera. Zoning enforcement officer, you will see a report in there. I will follow up because it was brought up at last month in regards to the Motel Cambridge. The ZEO and county inspectors did a walkthrough today, actually, and Bill will be getting us a report on that, as well as communication with Department of Health and other entities that have a piece in all this. To bring resolution. I know many neighbors have reached out to me. I know it feels like it's taking forever, but we have to do it by the law and by the book. And I know it seems so unfair that because they just did what they wanted without following the laws. But, in the long haul, we will get resolution for this situation going on there. And ZBA.
ZBA and planning board didn't have
Planning board.
meetings. I've received copies of saying that they didn't have any meetings to fill in their,
Yep, and
Yeah.
planning board, we do have a motion to approve another member.
we do.
We are down to 3 planning board members, which means it makes it very hard if one is unavailable. They cannot meet because they don't have a quorum. And I do know one of our members is possibly going away on vacation during a meeting, and our planning board would not be able to meet, and I know they have some items. So one of our members was great and helped recruit someone else who's interested in being a member on the planning board. So the motion would read, approve Carol Raffle of 31 West Main Street for membership on the village planning board for a term of 4 years. So we will have 4 members out of the 5-member board, which is good. If you're out there listening and you're interested in joining the planning board, we have another vacancy, and I believe the ZBA, or we got 1 or 2 over there as well.
At least one, I know
At
that.
least one. So, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Steve Howard,
Oh, sorry.
ADS.
And
Any
just a quick question. So it's a member board.
It's a 5-member board.
Are they legally required to have 3 people?
Yes, that's their
Yeah.
quorum. They cannot meet without 3.
What happens if they have less than 3 people? Does the
The planning
authority
board
come to
cannot-
us?
Basically goes
We've
to-
never gotten that situation. I don't believe the village board can take on that role,
Fair enough.
It's
because.
an independent body within the village.
Right,
Right,
right, it's
right.
an independent body that we set up apart
Oh,
from us. Yes,
we
Cara
have a
has,
lawyer.
Cara has some thoughts.
Do they have an alternate? The planning board?
No.
They do.
No alternate, otherwise we would have just pulled that person in.
Yeah. So if they only have 2, then they just can't meet.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And nothing can get done.
And
Yeah, that
nothing gets
sounds like a
done, and
problem,
we're heading to summertime where usually the planning board starts becoming more active, so it's important to get this 4th person on there.
Excellent.
Thank you, Cara.
So we need to vote on it, right?
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And thank you, Carol, for stepping up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank
Yes,
you.
Here.
thank you. And
Attorney.
you are up, Kara.
I don't have anything additional to report on. Since the last meeting, I don't. We've reviewed the bid documents for the Firehouse project, so that is obviously going out. You approved that tonight, and the paperwork has all been filed in the county clerk's office, so that's all completed. The I will review those items that you had sent over to me. Sorry, we haven't had computers for 3 days, so it's been really exciting in our office. But I'll get responses to you on those items you approved, subject to my approval this week.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, the Firehouse documents were the most important, so thank you for getting those wrapped up. That was a lot of stuff to go through. It gets sent to me from CT Mail, and I look at how many pages, and I click forward and send it right out to Cara, because a lot of them are very
We did a
in-depth.
great job organizing everything for you all too. The documents were great, so well, you're in good shape moving forward.
Wonderful, thank you. Historian report is in there. Library, that's in there as well. They're still moving forward with as much as they can do. I think they're operating now on limited capacity. So it looks like they've been allowing people to come in a little bit more again. So that's there for you to review. And
Can I
yes.
just ask a quick
Sure.
question about the library? I noticed in this last bullet that the appropriation request was submitted to CCS and the library will be requesting an increase of $0. We, in the past, have had some conversation about the entire school district taking over the village's annual contribution, right? So we can, I know we maybe
I
just
know
kind
we
of touched on it,
talked.
but nothing of like official.
Yeah, I know the library doesn't ask for any increase from us. They have it for like 15 years. They've been at that 25,000 and won't seek any increase from us.
Okay.
They seek it on with the school resolution.
Would we, the village, have to work with the school hand in hand to try to make that, like, how does that become a reality where we don't have to?
I don't know how
Not
that
sure,
all
right,
works
yeah.
because the library is, we're their charter organization. We're their charter by
Right.
us.
Gotcha.
I know the library board has talked about how to transition it from a chartered library to a regular public library and the dynamics of that.
Okay,
They're pretty much in control of that piece.
fair enough.
As well as how they plan their financing, they control that piece as well.
Okay.
Because while they are municipal, they're somewhat quasi-independent.
Sure. Yeah, it's weird.
Um,
Okay, I was
it's,
just
it
curious.
would, I mean, the village at some point could just say, well, we're not gonna pay you anymore.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
tricky part is we own the building, we are the charter
Right.
organization, and that's kind of where they stopped asking for increases from us and seek increase with the total district.
I got you.
I'm not sure what led to them not seeking that this year, maybe because of COVID, et cetera.
That makes sense. No, I just,
Yeah.
just came to mind. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it would be great to figure out how to get them fully independent. What's the computer doing? Okay, it's fine. Fully independent, of us. I'm not really sure of how the dynamics, because like the closure dates and stuff, we don't even control that. That's through the Southern Adirondack Library Association. They get so much from SALS that determines what rules they have to abide by. It's another one of those areas where it's municipal, but it's not, it is, et cetera.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I mean, I know I didn't really answer the financial piece, but Christina might be someone to talk to,
Sure.
or a member of the library board on what is the mechanism that drives your funding, and how would you change legally, how would you make that happen from the village to the overall whole district?
Gotcha.
All right, clerk, you were up.
All right, ma'am. Registrar did 38 vital records in the past 30 days, brought in $380 from that. Have some required admin motions here for the new justice. First one is authorized Justice Carl Flint to establish checking account in his name as Justice Carl Flint for village justice operations.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, same now for a credit card account, so they can receive credit card payments. Authorized Justice Carl Flint to establish credit card account in his name for village justice operations.
So moved.
Okay, ADS.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is, next one is a follow-up from something that Sergeant Danko brought up, where they're busy trying to upload their vest cams, and
Yes.
it's just crawling. I followed up with First Light and also some of the other local internet companies. Some of the issue is normally that when they advertise, hey, this high-speed internet, it's primarily download. The upload crawls. So to get it, the upload for here up to 100, so it's 100 and 100 as opposed to 100/10, which is what we, often end up with. It's going to raise our cost to $127.47 per month for this building. That said, they came down on their price quite a bit to keep our business.
Good.
So, they basically cut the price of our internet phone lines pretty darn low so they could get this to this level. In addition, 1 month will be rebated to us at the beginning for taking this on. They said it was good to the end of last month. I told them when our meeting was, and I said I'd follow up with them tomorrow if the board approves it. But,
Yeah, because we need to get that.
yeah, taking all day to
That's
upload
good, yeah.
your vest cams, that's not good
We're not
business.
uploading, we're buying DVDs to put them on. 'Cause
Jeez,
they
right.
won't upload.
Yeah,
Can't,
And like
yeah.
a normal like interactions, like 10 DVDs.
Ugh,
Wow.
Crazy.
wow, yeah.
This is significantly lower than what you was it last month?
Yeah, it was basically double that
It
last
was.
month.
Well, I said
Yeah.
to Lance, could you talk to him some more? I don't like the price and let's
Yeah, this is great.
see if we can get better. So thank you for sweet talking them.
Well, you know me, I'm all about the sweet talk.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, SH,
I'll second it.
SR, okay.
Any further discussion?
SH, SR.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed?
Okay, and
All right,
lastly,
have him do it ASAP so he can.
I will
he can
call
get-
them first thing in the morning. I don't have to send them flowers anymore, that's good. All right, parade permit, the September 18th tour of the Battenkill. They want to do it now on the 19th of June. So there's a revised permit in here, approved tour of the Battenkill for Saturday, June 19th, 2021, pending receipt of insurance information and contingent upon compliance with COVID-19 protocols pertaining to public gatherings.
And this is just 22 to 313, right? The little.
Yeah, there should be.
little-
There's the- yeah, I don't see the
I don't see the
map in
map.
here.
I was pretty sure that's what it was.
Because he did also, I remember the last one we approved, there was no check mark by police. There is now a check mark that they want police.
Let's
Do
see.
Yeah,
you usually have a guy on 313 directing traffic?
We sat there just in case.
Okay,
Yeah,
They're
it says.
turning right off of 20.
Right.
They're not crossing traffic.
right.
It says in their letter they've coordinated with Washington County Sheriff, Washington County Public Safety, New York State Police. So,
Yeah, we meet with them as well.
When they're in the village, they're on state roads anyways.
Yeah.
State police can handle any, as far as I'm concerned, you know, like that. I mean, I don't mind if we help them, I'm just saying that it's.
Maybe they
Sounds
just
like
checked
they're
police
using broad
because they didn't.
to show that they
have
did
us.
coordinate with police. yeah.
Maybe that's it, because I just don't remember it being checked off. But it could have been, who knows? So it's basically just switching what we already approved for the September one
Exactly.
to June.
I'll make the motion to approve. the
Okay,
permit.
Steve,
I shall second.
and another Steve. All right.
And did they submit insurance?
No, it's contingent upon
Okay,
receiving it
insurance.
though. They
So I was
understand
gonna
that.
ask, we gave them approval for their May bike thing at
Mm-hmm.
Argyle Brewing. I didn't know if they submitted for insurance for that.
They know that there's
Okay.
conditional approval and I'll
Okay.
start reaching out and smacking people.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
All right, any further discussion on that? Do we have motions? We're all good with that.
We're good.
We'll go with the motion, Jill.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
okay, ma'am, next up would be closing our public hearings.
Yeah, let's close those, sorry.
That's fine.
I was just gonna ask a question about this last page.
Sure, yeah, so the first motion would be to close the public hearing on the tentative 2021-2022 budget.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right,
Aye.
and the next would be to close the LL one, which is our exceeding the tax cap.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the next motion would be to adopt the LL1, which is us exceeding the tax cap, because we have to do that
Right,
prior.
authorization to do.
Yes, we have to do that prior to us adopting our budget at the end of the month or toward the end of the month. We'll have to get together, usually that last week, April, we get together to adopt our actual official budget. But it's always good to keep some time since we'll have a special meeting to discuss the Scba that may need to be added, however that comes out. We would
Could
want to add that
conceivably
to
do
the
it at that
budget.
meeting.
Right, so, yes, so be the motion to adopt the LL1, which is exceeding that tax cap.
I'll make the motion.
A
Yes, sir.
second.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
So, we have, I'm sorry, we have to have,
That's okay.
we have to have the budget adopted by May 1st, right?
Correct.
That's our deadline. So we're adopting this law right now to exceed the tax cap, but over the next 3 weeks, you know, if $500,000 fell from the sky, we could erase that if we wanted to. We wouldn't have to follow through with the law.
This law is just about authorization.
Just about
Right, yeah, if
authorization.
we.
Okay, that was my question.
Right, yes, if
Gotcha,
we end up going back down underneath it, that is not a problem.
gotcha, okay.
You just
It's
have to
about
officially do it
authorization.
to be able to exceed.
This is just unlocking the door.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes, if there is someone who wants to drop $500,000 from the sky on us, we will gladly accept it.
You know somebody? Is that?
Absolutely.
Rich Sweeney has a pilot license, right?
So, we have the motion made and
Motion.
second, and any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, anything else before we adjourn?
Yeah, just a quick question. This picture of this check.
All that is just saying what the court has brought in
Brought in.
past month, that's all.
Perfect, thank you. That's it. I will make the motion to adjourn then, or,
I'll second it.
That's
yeah,
it.
that's what we're doing, right?
Yes,
Not
we
going
are, we
into
made
executive
it,
session? Okay.
we made it. Any further discussion on adjournment?
I
All
hope-
right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, Kara, thanks, Jimmy. Oh.
That was a long one.
That was.
Oh, Lance,